නිවසේ මෙවැනි මත්පිට රැඳෙන විස බීජ 99.9%ක්ම විනාශ කරන විම් ක්ලීනර්ස්.
Tonight, looking ahead, the government shifts attention towards booster shots with 93% of Sri Lanka's over 30s population partially vaccinated. Unimpressed, the UNP leader dismisses the involvement of the army in vaccinations as unacceptable. New plan: home care of asymptomatic and mild symptom COVID patients to start tomorrow.
Can take paracetamol, and that should help you symptomatically feel better during this time. Make sure that you're not all alone. You should be socially connected because you don't want to get depressed or anxious.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Sunday the 8th of August 2021.
Pocket ticket fit when a new Axe ticket perfume.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammike Kanaka. Now then, 93% of Sri Lanka's population of over 30 years of age is now partially vaccinated, with the country well on course to hit its target set for the end of this month. With that being the case, the government has now turned its attention towards procuring booster shots as well. There are 11.4 million people above the age of 30 in Sri Lanka, and close to 3 million of them are fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
The government's target to partially vaccinate the country's population of over 30 years of age by September is getting closer and closer to fruition. The World Health Organization in Sri Lanka places the over 30 population in the island at 11.4 million, and that target is almost at touching distance. As of last evening, the epidemiology unit placed the number of people at least partially vaccinated at 10,986,524. From that figure, 2,780,714 people are fully immunized, meaning they are given both required doses of a vaccine against COVID-19. Meanwhile, health authorities and the Triforce personnel vaccinated 194,556 persons yesterday. Among them was 29,654 persons who were given the first dose of the AstraZeneca's Covishield vaccine, while 9,570 people were administered with the second dose of the same. Further, 63,461 people received the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine, with 69,736 people being given the second dose of the China-manufactured jab yesterday. 2,962 people were given the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, while 58 people received its second dose. The Moderna jab's first dose was also rolled out to 19,115 persons. In the meantime, it was also announced today that all the people above the age of 60, suffering from serious underlying health conditions in the Western province, who are yet to receive at least one vaccine dose, will be vaccinated from the 10th to the 12th of this month. All such persons are requested to contact the hotline 1906 in order to get themselves registered. Sri Lanka's success in procuring vaccines, albeit following some hiccups at the beginning of the inoculation drive, coupled with a speedy rollout with the input of the Triforces, has put the island well on track to hit the inoculation target well before the deadline. But in some countries, the rollout of a third shot known as a booster is also under consideration, with Israel, Germany and France to go ahead with it from next month. This, however, could lead to another problem. If the booster shot becomes a requirement, the procurement amid global competition could prove to be challenging. With that being the case, head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva said today that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed officials to take measures to procure the required amounts of booster shots. He quoted the head of state saying that if other countries require booster shots, then Sri Lanka too will need the same. In the meantime, a consignment of 1.86 million Sinopharm vaccine doses reached the island today. That brings the total number of the China-made doses Sri Lanka has received so far to 14.7 million. Though health experts identified the vaccine to be a great tool in combating COVID-19, it is no magic cure. The most potent weapon to nullify the virus spread continues to be good health and safety practices. And the adherence to relevant guidelines in that regard is more important than ever, as the new daily cases continue to stay over 2,500 and climbing. Yesterday, the number was 2,815. From that, 980 cases were confirmed from the Western Province. District-wise, Colombo and Galle both recorded 413 new infections each. Though the new COVID cases are on the rise, most of the travel restrictions in the island are relaxed. It was done to ensure the functioning of the country's economy. With the present situation as it is, Professor Nilika Malavigi at the Department of Immunology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura wants all indoor gatherings to be stopped until a larger proportion of the country's adult population is fully vaccinated. Taking to Twitter, she added that fine aerosols produced by talking and singing contain more SARS-CoV-2 copies, which greatly contribute to the spread of the virus. In the meantime, there were 2,563 COVID recoveries confirmed in the island today, taking the overall tally to 293,357. As for new infections, 2,230 have been confirmed so far during the day.
අඩසිය වසකට වැඩි ජනතා විශ්වාසය නව සංයෝගයකින් Rhino roofing සහ ceiling sheet.
The home care program for asymptomatic and mild symptomed COVID-19 patients will kick off across the island tomorrow. Respective local health officials will determine which patients qualify for it and which do not. Though there had been criticisms from certain factions that the move is a knee-jerk reaction to the surge in COVID-19 cases, the World Health Organization says that it is a viable plan.
After resisting for months, the government will be starting a new island-wide program tomorrow where asymptomatic COVID-19 patients and those with mild symptoms of the virus can be accommodated at their home. Previously, the idea was discarded, albeit with good intentions, saying that all those infected will be housed at either hospitals or dedicated treatment centers, so medical care is at hand should patients' condition take a turn for the worse. But with the rising number of infections, especially with the feared Delta variant suspected to be responsible for 20 to 30% of daily infections, more and more beds are being occupied. With the Delta variant making more and more infected people ostensibly worse, even beds dedicated for COVID treatment needed to be prioritized. Home treatment may look a knee-jerk reaction to an unmanageable situation, but it appears that it isn't. This is exactly what the World Health Organization also recommends.
It is possible to care for patients with COVID-19 at home or in community centers. If you're having more and more cases, then you make surge plans, and that may mean that some patients are going to be cared for at home. Maybe other patients will be cared for at temporary care facilities, and then those that are sick and severe still get cared for in the hospital where all the system is in place to take care of those patients. Those that should be at home should be the ones that have mild symptoms or that aren't too sick.
The longer the pandemic lasts, the better the understanding of COVID-19. At the inception, it was said that some of the drugs used in the treatment of malaria, including remdesivir, can be used to treat COVID patients. But the WHO has since then made a U-turn on that idea.
We have a conditional recommendation, so that's a recommendation to not use remdesivir. The reason we have that is that when we did the evidence analysis, it was not clear, we were not certain that the mortality benefit was there, or even that the clinical benefit was there for reduction of hospital days. And that was taking all the trials that had been published. And so that was a conditional recommendation, and that means sometimes we have strong ones and sometimes we have conditional ones. The strong ones means that we were very certain, and this is what we think you should be doing. The conditional means we weren't so certain, so we still advise against it until there's more information. So WHO is not recommending for the use of remdesivir. We're closely watching, though, the evidence as it emerges, more trials to see. And there are not any other antivirals that we have found yet that are effective, but we are looking. There are some drugs in pipeline so that we are hopeful that one of these may show benefit.
If you are one of those at home with COVID-19 with mild symptoms, the WHO outlines several things that you can do to address the ailments which you may be suffering from.
Just like you would do from a virus, another virus that may give you a cold or muscle aches, fevers, you can take paracetamol, and that should help you symptomatically feel better during this time. Rest, like you do when you get some sickness from other things. Try to stay hydrated, try to eat something, don't stop eating. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you're not all alone. You know, you should be connected to maybe not physically, but socially connected, because you don't want to get depressed or anxious. If you have any inkling that you're getting a little bit more sick, that your breathing is getting a little bit more troubled, that you're feeling too much fatigue, that you're not getting better, then you have to have contact numbers for your doctor, for the hospital, for the health system, for the community health worker, whichever that person is in where you live, and call for help.
The validity period of all types of visas currently obtained by foreigners residing in Sri Lanka has been extended by 30 days until the 7th of September. The Department of Immigration and Immigration says that only visa fees applicable will be charged for visas which expire within this period and will be exempted from overstay penalties. Tourist visa holders can use one of several methods to make payment for the extension of the visa and to get visa endorsement. They can pay the relevant visa fee and get the visa extension via the relevant link on or before the 7th of September. In case they're intending to leave Sri Lanka before the 7th of September, the journey will also be facilitated upon the payment of the relevant visa fee at the airport. Alternatively, they can visit the head office of the Department of Immigration and Immigration in Battaramulla on or before the 7th of September and get the visa endorsed by making the relevant visa fees. Now, for resident visas, the department can be contacted between 8:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. on working days on 070 710 1050 to make appointments. Leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is critical of the government over the involvement of the army in COVID vaccinations. Releasing a recorded statement, the former Prime Minister said the Army's involvement in the vaccination drive is unacceptable and renewed calls for the Army Commander-led task force on COVID prevention to be abolished and the process be brought under the Cabinet.
ඉන්දියාවටත් වඩා දරුණු තත්ත්වයක් ලංකාවේ ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එන්නත ලබා දීම ගැන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශය යටතේ නොකර වෙනම හමුදාව යටතේ කරන්නේ. ඒක පිළිගන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක්. ඒ වගේම එන්නත දෙන්න ඕනේ අවුරුදු 12න් වැඩි සියලු දෙනාට. දැනට දෙන්නේ 30ට වැඩි සියලු දෙනාට. ඊතුරු අයට කොහොමද එන්නත ලබා ගන්න කියලා අපිට කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේම ඔක්සිජන් උවමනාකම් තවත් උපකරණ ගණනාව. එදා කිව්වා ගොඩනැගිලි ඒ වගේම ඇඳන් සපයනවා කියලා. අද ගොඩනැගිලිත් නැහැ, ඇඳන්ගොත් නැහැ. ඒ ගැන කිසිම ක්‍රියාවක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. වෛද්‍ය හා සෞඛ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රය නිසා තමයි අද අපි බේරෙලා ඉන්නේ. ඒ අයටත් අහුම්කම් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. වෛද්‍යවරුන් ලොක්ඩවුන් එකක් ඉල්ලලා තිබෙනවා. ආණ්ඩුව ඒක ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරලා තියෙනවා. මොකද මේකේ වගකීම බාර දීලා තියෙන්නේ මේ කාර්යකායක බලකායට. බලකායට මේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න ශක්තියක් නැහැ. ඒ පමණක් නෙමෙයි. WHO ආයතනයේ යටතේ විශේෂඥයන්ගේ වෙනම කොමිටියක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අද එහෙම කොමිටියක් ලංකාවේ විතරයි නැත්තේ. අනික හැම රටකම එහෙම කොමිටියක් තියෙනවා. මේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන මරණ දිහා බැලුවාම 2020 අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ ඉඳන් අවස්ථාව තිබුණා මේක පාලනය කරන්න. ඒක සිදු වුණේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් මේ කොමිටිය අද මේ මරණ වලට විශේෂයෙන්ම වග කියන්න උවමන. ඒ වගේම අද මේ කොමිටිය ක්‍රියා කරන්නට නීතියෙන් බලතල නැහැ. නීතියෙන් පිට වැඩ කරන්නේ. ව්‍යවස්ථාව යටතේ ආණ්ඩුව ගෙනියන බලතල තියෙන කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය. මේ බලතල ආපහු මේ කොමිටියට දෙන්න බෑ. මේ කොමිටිය විසුරුවා හරිය යුතුයි. නීතියෙන් ඇති මේ මණ්ඩල මාර්ගයෙන් ක්‍රියා කරමු. නැත්නම් ලංකාව 21 වෙනි සතවර්ෂයේ විශාලා මහ නුගර බවට පත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
We will see you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Big 3.
Now, a global economic loss of $54 trillion is forecasted by experts, with the cause expected to be a 1.5 degree increase in global temperature. Chairman and CEO of the Global Strategic Corporate Sustainability, Dr. Ravi Fernando, commented on the grave possibility during the Action to Implement multi-stakeholder campaign to drive sustainability dialogue in Sri Lanka, organised by the Road to Rights yesterday. Also speaking at the event, Sri Lanka's country director of the International Labour Organisation, Simran Singh, said that Sri Lanka's youth is 5 times more likely to be unemployed than adults.
In Sri Lanka, young people make up a sizable portion of the population, nearly 23% or 4.6 million. That's not a small number. However, on the downside, young people are almost 5 times more likely to be unemployed than adults and face the challenges of lower quality of jobs, long school to work transition problems, greater labor market inequalities, and other forms of discrimination. In addition, if you look at gender issues, women are also more likely to be underrepresented in the labor force, underemployed, underpaid in comparison to men doing similar economic activities. So things are not all that wonderful, and a lot of work needs to be done in these areas. This is really a problem because without skilled and employable young people, our chances of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals are greatly diminished.
In the meantime, Chairman and CEO of the Global Strategic Corporate Sustainability, Dr. Ravi Fernando, says that the world needs to redouble efforts and move aggressively towards renewable energy as rising global temperatures could lead to a global economic loss of $53 trillion.
The first reality I want to share with you is that when the term sustainable development was coined in 1987, since 1987 to today, we have passed 34 years. And in those 34 years, one can see that the last 20 years that we are experiencing from the year 2000 are the hottest ever 20 years recorded in history. So we are living in a very much hotter planet where global temperatures have increased plus 1.12% from the base year of 1880. So the planet is getting hotter. Now, in 1987, it was identified that we had to exit fossil fuels, moving to renewable energy and to sustainable transportation, etc. Basic reason the planet is getting hotter and the basic reason we are experiencing extreme weather events in the world today, which incidentally has been ranked as the #1 global risk at the World Economic Forum in both 2020 and in 2021. Global risk #1, extreme weather events. The number of extreme weather incidents that are pummeling the planet today has gone up from an average 100 to 150 incidents to nearly 700 incidents per annum that we are faced with today. So, the International Panel of Climate Change have said that if we cross a plus 1.5 degrees centigrade, and the World Meteorological Organization have already confirmed that we will cross that crisis point in 2025. According to the IPCC, if we cross plus 1.5 degrees centigrade, the damage to the global economy will be $54 trillion in a global economy which is $90 trillion. Now that is what we are faced with as at today, and this is why we need to have urgency for the climate emergency in terms of impacting this crisis that we are faced with through the SDGs. Goal number 7 is an acceleration towards renewable energy and sustainable automation. At the moment, our energy source and our automation energy source is fossil fuels. So if we keep burning fossil fuels, it is only going to accelerate the planet crossing the 1.5 degree danger mark in 2025 and getting to the 2 degree mark very, very fast. So I would say we need to redouble our efforts and move aggressively towards renewable energy in Sri Lanka, in the world, where at the moment renewable energy is only accounting for under 30% of all energy supplied to the world.
In other local stories, the Ceylon Teachers Union today renewed their battle cries and urged people not to think that they have abandoned their struggle and pledged more severe action. It has been almost a month since the teachers withdrew from the education process, demanding that the government fix their salary anomalies. They are also of the stance that they cannot wait for answers until the budget in November. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has once more asked teachers to work from home.
Teachers and principals trade unions temporarily halted their protest marches planned for yesterday. They were intended to exert pressure on the government to resolve their salary anomalies. The decision was prompted by the prevailing pandemic situation. The Ceylon Teachers Union, expressing views on the matter, stated that this is a temporary halt of some action, insisting that their struggle remain very much active. Their comments came in the wake of Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, issuing a letter on Friday enabling work from home for teachers and the non-academic staff, saying that it is unnecessary for all the educators to report to work due to the rampant spread of COVID-19. The Secretary adds that depending on the requirements, the principal can call teachers for duty, however in limited numbers. Concluding the letter, the Secretary hopes that teachers who work from home conduct classes to students online or by using other alternative means. But the teachers' trade unions are not taking this circular seriously and are intent on keeping teachers away from the education process.
ඊයේ සිට මාධ්‍ය අරා විශාල ප්‍රචාරයක් යනවා ගුරු අරගලයේ අවසන් කිසිම අවසන් වීමක් නැහැ මේ අරගලයේ තීරණාත්මක දවස හෙට උද අපි දන්නවා හෙට දිනේදී කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවක් ඉදිරිපත් වීමට නියමිතයි අපි හෙට දිනේ සූදානම් කරලා තියෙන රත් පෙළපාලියක් යාපනයේ වීරසිංහම් ශාලාව වශයෙන් ආරම්භ වෙනවා අපි සැලසුම් කරලා තියෙන විවිධ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග මේ සියලු දේවල් අපි කරනවා අපි ගුරු විද්‍යාල්පති වෘත්ති සමිති සන්ධානය ලෙස වසන්ත මුදලිගේ ඇතුළු ඒ උද්ඝෝෂණයට සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච සියලු දෙනා අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම ඒවා රිමාන්ඩ් කිරීම ඇතුළු සියලු කාර්යයන් සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි දැඩි විරෝධය පළ කරනවා. අපි දන්නවා 4 වෙනිදා ලියුමක් ගැව්වා. ගියේ නැත්නම් නිවාඩු දාන්න. මේ ඉස්කෝලේ ළමයි කැඳවලත් නැහැ. ආසල්ට එන්න කියලා ගුරුවරට ලියුමක් ගහලා. ඊට පස්සේ දැන් තව ලියුමක් ගන්නවා 6 වෙනිදා ඉස්කෝලේට පැමිණීමට අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. ගෙදර ඉඳන් ඔන්ලයින් කරන්න. ඔන්ලයින් හරි වෙනත් විකල්ප අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමාරි කරන්න. ඉතින් සල්ලි දෙන්න බෑ.
දැන් ආණ්ඩුව උත්සාහ කරමින් ඉන්නවා ගුරුවරු ආසාදිතව බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා තහවුරු කරන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා ආණ්ඩුවේ බැරිකම ආණ්ඩුවේ නොහැකියාව කොවිඩ් පාලනය සඳහා වැඩපිළිවෙලක් නොමැතිකම අපි මත පටවන්න සූදානම් වෙලා තියෙනවා නිසා අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම අද දවසේ දීර්ඝ ලෙස සාකච්ඡා කරලා තීරණය කරා ගුරු සහ විදුහල්පතිවරු විශාල වශයෙන් රැස් වෙන එකතු වන වීදි සටන් වෙනුවට අලුත් සටන් මාවතට අපි ප්‍රවිෂ්ඨ වෙන්නේ. අපි ලබන සතියේ සිට රටේ අනිකුත් වෘත්තීය සමිති, රාජ්‍යංශේ, අර්ධ රාජ්‍යංශේ, පෞද්ගලිකංශේ, වතු ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ මේ සියලු වෘත්තීය සමිති ඒකාබද්ධ කරගත්ත ඒකාබද්ධ සටන් වලට අවතීන වෙන තීරණය කළා තිබෙනවා.
හෙට දහවල් 12ට එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සංවිධානයේට ලිපියක් ඉදිරිපත් කරමින් කියා සිටිනවා උන්ටත් මැදිහත් වී මේ ගුරු විදුහල්පතිවරුන්ගේ වෘත්තීය වැටුප් විෂමතාවය සඳහා ඉදිරිපත් වන ලෙස
වැටුප් කොමිසමත් එක්ක ලබන සතියේ සාකච්ඡා කිරීමට අපි සංගම් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ ගැටලුව විසඳගන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක. අපේ යෝජනාව තමයි රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ වැටුප් ක්‍රමයේ යටතේම මේ ගුරුවරුන්ගේ සහ විදුහල්පතිවරුන්ගේ වැටුප් සකස් විය යුතුයි කියන යෝජනාව තමයි අපි සංගම් හැටියට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ.
Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, market activity at the Colombo Bourse ended on a high last week, and analysts expect more of the same next week as well. They also expect the indices to be volatile, but also forecast high market turnover and activity levels. The all-share price index gained 87.18 points to close at 8,099.12 on Friday, while the S&P SL 20 index of more liquid stocks gained 18.41 points to close at 3,056.02. Now here's Dimantha Matthew with the market forecast for the upcoming week.
Looking at the upcoming week, with the positive momentum on Friday, we feel that the overall investors' mindset is likely to be positive, but we need to bear in mind that the market has been on a continuous uptrend and is looking a bit expensive now, so there could be profit taking in most of the counters, specifically dollar income companies and some of the construction-led companies are likely to have some profit taking. So we are likely to see a more volatile week, I think, with a mixed reaction. In addition to that, we may have some investor reactions into the results that are getting released. So with that, basically the volatility is likely to continue. Also, activity levels is likely to be onto the high side because different counters with the earnings season coming in, selected counters of those earnings that are getting released is like high level of activity levels. So overall, index is likely to be volatile, but turnover and activity may continue to remain high.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.